when a massive building collapses, the standard human protocol is to just stand back and mourn the rubble.
Right. You put up the yellow caution tape.
Yeah, exactly. You put up the tape, you stare at the wreckage, and you just grieve the structure that used to be there. You remember, like, the dinner parties in the dining room or the color of the paint on the front door?
The way the light hit the windows.
Yes. And you just stand there, letting the dust settle into your clothes, feeling completely helpless.
Well, because it becomes a space defined entirely by what is missing. It's a literal and emotional void. And human nature dictates that we treat a void with a certain, hushed, paralyzed reverence. We don't touch it, we just let it be sad.
The void demands sadness, absolutely. And we build whole ecosystems around that sadness, especially in music. But then occasionally you see someone step right past that caution tape.
And they don't have a tissue in their hand.
No, they have a sledgehammer. And they start using that exact same rubble, those broken bricks and shattered beams, to build a dance floor.
Which is a completely different architectural instinct. I mean, it is taking destruction and aggressively, almost defiantly repurposing it into something kinetic.
Right.
It's refusing to let the end of a structure dictate the end of your movement.
Welcome to today's Deep Dive. We are looking at a blueprint for exactly that kind of emotional architecture. We have a massive, really fascinating stack of sources today.
We've got intricate music theory breakdowns from YouTube, dense legal analyses from Billboard regarding a pretty wild copyright lawsuit.
Oh, the lawsuit is wild, yeah.
We've got deep dive Reddit discussions on music history and some really interesting psychological perspectives on pop music.
And our mission today is to explore how Miley Cyrus's record-breaking hit Flowers completely subverts the traditional tear-jerking breakup ballad.
And we're going to look very specifically at how the lyrics of this track reflect a profound level of personal growth compared to typical breakup ballads.
It transforms what society expects to be this song of mourning into an absolute masterclass on self-empowerment and, emotional regulation.
I mean, think about why you, the listener, cling to breakup songs when you're hurting. We've all been there.
Oh, absolutely. You have that one playlist on your phone.
Exactly. You use sad music to wallow, to feel seen in your misery, to validate the fact that your heart feels like it's been put through a meat grinder.
It's a universal experience navigating a broken heart. But today, we're going to unpack how the specific sonic and lyrical choices in Flowers offer you a literal blueprint for healing.
It's not just a shoulder to cry on, it's a set of instructions for getting back on your feet.
Right.
It's a fundamental shift from passively experiencing heartbreak to actively managing it. We see this all the time in therapy, the move from being a victim of your circumstances to an active participant in your own recovery.
But to really understand the psychology of the song and how it achieves this lyrical growth, we first need to understand the musical conversation it's having with the past.
We have to look at the ghost haunting the new house.
Yes, specifically, the very famous, very traditional piano ballad by Bruno Mars. Okay, let's unpack the Bruno Mars connection.
Let's do it.
Because the link here is impossible to ignore, and it's the foundation of everything that follows. We are talking about Mars's 2012 hit, When I Was Your Man.
If you haven't heard it in a while, it is a gorgeous, stripped-back piano ballad.
And it is dripping, absolutely saturated with regret. It's a guy sitting alone at a piano, cataloging all the things he failed to do.
The lyrics are a literal checklist of remorse. He sings, I should have bought you flowers and held your hand, take you to every party because all you wanted to do was dance.
Right, he is itemizing his failures as a partner.
He is living entirely in the past tense, trapped in a hypothetical reality where he made better choices.
And it feels so heavy, like the music makes you feel like you are sinking into the floorboards with him, and then a full decade later, Cyrus comes along and flips that exact perspective on its head.
Where Mars is paralyzed by regret, Cyrus shifts the narrative to active self-reliance.
She responds practically line for line. I can buy myself flowers. I can hold my own hand. I can take myself dancing. It is a systematic lyrical inversion.
She moves the listener from the regretful past tense into the empowered, capable present tense. She isn't waiting for an apology.
And she isn't accepting the role of the tragic, abandoned figure.
Exactly. It's like taking a sad, apologetic voicemail from an ex.
Oh, you know the one they leave at 2 p.m. where they're crying and making excuses?
Yes, that exact one. And you remix that audio into your morning workout playlist. It's brilliant.
It really is. But I have to push back hard on this because it begs a huge question. Isn't this just a ripoff? I mean, we can dress it up as a clever lyrical inversion all we want, but she took his exact concepts. If her whole message is about independence, doesn't borrowing someone else's homework entirely undermine that message?
That is a very fair question.
Like, if she needs his song to build her identity, how is she independent?
That is the core tension of the track, and it's exactly what people are arguing about online. And it leads directly into the legal reality, which is fascinating.
Lead on me.
To answer your question about independence, no, this isn't just a ripoff that undermines her message. It actually taps into a very rich, highly established historical tradition in the music industry.
Which is what?
It's known as the answer song.
An answer song, meaning it's a deliberate reply, not a theft.
Right. It is a rhetorical device. It's a way for an artist to reclaim a narrative, to insert themselves into a conversation that the culture is already having, and pivot the meaning.
So it's an artistic dialogue, not a monologue.
Precisely.
Give me an example, because when I think of pop music, I usually think of artists operating in their own little silos, not passing notes back and forth in class.
Oh, we've seen this for decades, across multiple genres. So a classic rock example from the 1970s, Neil Young wrote Southern Man in Alabama, which were highly critical of the American South.
Okay.
In response, Lynyrd Skynyrd wrote Sweet Home Alabama. It was a direct, pointed answer. Well, I heard Mr. Young sing about her. Southern men don't need him around anyhow.
Oh, wow. I always just thought that was a fun song about going home. I didn't realize it was a clapback.
It was a massive clapback. Or look at hip-hop in the 1980s. There was this legendary period known as the Roxanne Wars.
The Roxanne War.
Yeah, so a group called UTFO released a track complaining about a woman named Roxanne who rejected their advances. In response, a 14-year-old girl named Roxanne Shante recorded Roxanne's Revenge.
Oh, I love that.
She adopted the persona of the woman in the song and absolutely dismantled the guys from her perspective. And that single track spawned over 100 different answer records from various artists.
100? That's insane.
Yeah, all adopting different personas, trading barbs, and flipping the perspective. Cyrus is engaging in this exact time-honored tradition. She isn't stealing Bruno Mars's sentiment, she's recording it.
Okay, I see the artistic lineage. I get it. But you can't just brush off the lawsuit. It's dominating the news cycle.
It really is.
People are arguing about it on Reddit and TikTok right now. If it's just a culturally accepted answer song, and we've been doing this since the 70s and 80s, why is there a massive legal battle?
Well, the landscape has changed.
Right, like, why are lawyers getting involved if this is just an artistic conversation?
The legal landscape has changed significantly since the Roxanne Wars, and we have to look at the Billboard legal analysis from our sources to clarify what is actually happening here. Because the headlines are incredibly misleading.
Okay, how so?
Yes, there is a lawsuit. But crucially, Bruno Mars is not the one suing Miley Cyrus.
Wait, really? The headlines always frame it as Mars versus Cyrus?
I know, but the plaintiff is actually a company called Tempo Music Investments. They are an investment entity that buys up music catalogs.
Oh, okay. That changes the vibe entirely.
Right. They bought a share of the copyright to When I Was Your Man from one of Mars's co-writers, Philip Lawrence. So you have an investment firm, not the original artist, alleging that Flowers copies melodic and harmonic material.
And pitch-ending patterns and baseline structures,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Which Cyrus's legal team completely denies, obviously.
Categorically. Her lawyers point out a very important legal precedent. You cannot copyright an idea or a trope.
Because the lyrics are just commonplace tropes in breakup songs, as they put it.
Exactly. No single artist owns the concept of buying flowers, holding hands, or going dancing. You can't put a trademark on the act of self-care.
That makes a lot of sense.
But more importantly, from a music theory standpoint, beyond the lyrical concept, the songs are vastly different mechanically, and those mechanical differences are entirely engineered to support the lyrical growth we are talking about.
Let's get into the mechanics then.
Okay.
Because to the untrained ear, they do share a similar mood at the very beginning. Like they both have this slightly moody, reflective vibe right out of the gate.
They do share a starting point. They both prominently feature an A minor chord, which sets an initial, slightly melancholic tone.
But there are tens of thousands of sad songs that start with A minor.
Right, it's the standard key for introspection. The divergence happens almost immediately, particularly in the tempo. This is where the emotional regulation begins. When I Was Your Man is a slow, mournful 73 beats per minute.
73 BPM.
Yeah.
What does that actually feel like in the body?
It drags, deliberately. A resting human heart rate is typically between 60 and 100 beats per minute. 73 is on the slower end.
Right.
It simulates the heavy, sluggish feeling of regret That feeling where you don't want to get out of bed.
Where every movement feels like it requires immense effort. It sounds like walking through knee-deep molasses. You want to move forward, but the environment is actively holding you back.
Exactly. Tempo traps you in the sadness. Flowers, on the other hand, sits at a 118 BPM.
That is a massive jump. 118 BPM is practically double the speed.
It's the tempo of a brisk walk. It's the tempo of a light jog. It's an inherently active tempo.
Okay, so she's literally picking up the pace.
Furthermore, if you look at the melodies, like the actual sequence of notes the singers are hitting, they don't match.
How so?
Well, Mars's melody in his verses is rhythmically complex. He utilizes a wide vocal range, dipping and soaring to express his desperation and his agonizing realization of what he lost. He is vocally pleading.
It's Cyrus.
Cyrus's melody in her verses is intentional, simple. It is composed mostly of steady, even quarter notes. It doesn't dip and soar with desperation.
It gives the feeling of walking steadily forward, completely unbothered.
Right. She's delivering facts, not beats.
So it's that exact shift from 73 BPM to 118 BPM, from a complex pleading melody to a steady march of quarter notes that physically moves the song, and you as the listener, from a place of mourning to a place of physical action.
Exactly.
The lyrics are saying, I can take myself dancing, but the tempo is already making you sweat. Which brings us to the actual sonic architecture of how that joy is built, because the production on this track is doing some incredibly heavy lifting.
Oh, the production by Kid Harpoon and Tyler Johnson is a masterstroke in emotional engineering. And to understand its genius, we have to look at how they handle the chorus.
Okay, lay it out for us.
In a standard pop or dance track, the chorus is the climax. It's the emotional release. And usually producers signal that climax by dropping a massive, heavy drum hit right on the beat one of the chorus, the downbeat.
Right, it's the payoff. The verse builds the tension, the pre-chorus winds it up, and then boom, beat one of the chorus hits, the cymbals crash, the bass drops, and everyone in the club starts jumping.
It's the musical equivalent of a jump scare, but for joy.
That is a great way to put it.
That is the industry standard. But in Flowers, they deliberately subvert that expectation. As we transition from the pre-chorus into the chorus, right at the pivotal lyrical moment where she sings, I can buy myself flowers.
There is a momentary silence.
Exactly. The downbeat beat one is completely empty. There are no cymbals crashing. There's no heavy kick drum. The beat doesn't actually kick in until beat two.
I noticed that. It feels almost like the song skips a heartbeat. You brace yourself for the big explosion on beat one, and instead you get a split second of dead air. But wait, in the ballad tradition we just talked about, silence usually represents a gasp for air, right?
Yeah.
A moment of vulnerability. The singer chokes up, the music stops.
Usually, yes.
How does silence in a 118 BPM pop song mean something totally different than silence in a 73 BPM ballad?
Because of the context of the rhythm. What you're describing, that feeling of the song skipping a heartbeat, is what music theorists and producers often call the slingshot effect.
The slingshot effect, okay.
In a slow ballad, yes, silence is a gasp. It's a surrender to the emotion. But at 118 BPM, with a disco funk groove waiting in the wings, that silence acts as a vacuum.
A vacuum. Explain that.
Think of it like leaning back in a chair and suddenly you tip just a little too far past the center of gravity. For a split second, you hit that weightless zone where you realize you're falling.
Oh, that stomach drop feeling. I hate that feeling, but I know exactly what you mean.
Yes, the silence on beat one winds back to the tension. By leaving the downbeat empty, the producers pull the rhythmic bow back. They create a sudden, unexpected drop in gravity.
So when the beat finally does drop on beat two, it feels incredibly explosive. You thought you were falling, but instead the music catches you and throws you forward.
It is entirely propulsive. It forces the listener's ear and their body to lean into the music. Instead of the music just washing over you passively like a wave, it yanks you into the groove. It's a physical manifestation of the song's theme of independence. She doesn't need to hit the predictable, socially mandated downbeat. She hits the beat when she is ready. She dictates the rhythm of her own recovery.
That is such a cool way to look at production as a storytelling tool. It completely changes the energy. It's not a passive listen. It's an active strut.
It really is an active strut.
And speaking of that strutting feeling, I have to bring in these amazing Reddit theories from our source stack. Because the internet has been dissecting the specific instruments used here.
Oh, the internet always comes through with the deep cuts.
Always. And there's a brilliant breakdown of two distinct musical characters in this song that act almost like supporting actors in her journey of personal growth.
Ah, yes. You're referring to the Lodge Bend synth and the Superfunk Man bass line.
Yes. Let's start with this synth. Listeners pointed out this distinct, slightly reedy, almost oboe-like synthesizer that plays throughout the track.
It's a very specific sound.
Someone on a music theory subreddit theorized it acts as a Lodgebond responder. Now, for anyone who isn't deep into linguistics, Lodgebond is a constructed language.
Right, an artificial language.
Created in the 1980s, designed to be perfectly logical and unambiguous. There are no gray areas, no double meanings, no messy emotional inferences. It is pure, cold logic.
It's a very interesting analogy, but how does the concept of a purely logical language apply to a synthesizer in a pop song about a messy breakup?
Well, listen to what the synth does in the verses. When she's singing about the relationship ending, when the lyrics are still somewhat vulnerable, this synth mimics her vocal melody.
Okay.
It plays these short, repetitive, circular phrases. It sounds exactly like the intrusive thoughts of someone who is grieving.
Oh, I see.
You know when you go through a breakup, and your brain just replays the same memory over and over? We built a home and watched it burn. Watched it burn. Watched it burn. It's pensive. It's stuck in a loop.
So in the verses, the synth acts as an internal witness to her vulnerability. It represents the messy, emotional, cyclical nature of human grief.
Yes, but then we hit that slingshot moment in the chorus. The silence happens, the gravity drops, the beat kicks in on beat 2, and suddenly this same oboe synth transforms entirely.
What does it do?
It stops mimicking her sad, cyclical thoughts and becomes this precise, unambiguous, lodge bin-like mirror, reflecting her physical actions.
Oh, wow.
When she sings I Can Buy Myself Flowers, the synth hits back with absolute rigid clarity. Da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
No hesitation. It translates her internal, abstract feeling of self-love into an external, concrete, logical action.
It stops wallowing and starts executing.
Exactly.
It moves from being an abstract emotional thought to a physical law of nature. That is a fantastic, incredibly nuanced way to conceptualize the arrangement. The instrument itself undergoes character development, and it pairs perfectly with the bass line, which the Reddit community affectionately dubbed Super Funk Man.
I love that name so much. The Superfunk Band bass line is the absolute heartbeat of this independence. And our sources point out that it's a wild, very deliberate mix of styles.
Let's break this down.
On one hand, you have this classic 1970s four-on-the-floor disco groove. For those who don't know, four on the floor is when the kick drum hits on every single beat of a 44 measure.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Right. It creates this inescapable forward momentum. People immediately compare it to Gloria Gaynor's ultimate survival anthem, I Will Survive.
Which is not a coincidence because Flowers uses the exact same foundational chord progression as I Will Survive. A minor, D minor, G, C.
Wait, really? The exact same progression?
Yes. It is a progression designed to resolve upward, to create a feeling of triumph after struggle.
Wow, okay, so it's literally built on the skeletal remains of the greatest survival anthem of the 20th century.
It really is.
But Kid Harpoon, the producer, didn't just leave it as standard generic disco. He infused it with this staccato, bouncy rhythm. It's a technique very common in norteño and Tejano country music.
Right, it gives the bass line this distinct, snipping twang.
And we have to explain why that fusion is vital. If it were just a standard disco bass line, it might feel a bit pastiche, a bit generic, and it might get dancing.
Absolutely. But by adding that country or Mexican staccato twang, you know those sharp click notes that don't ring out too long?
The bass line gains a specific grounded swagger.
Yes, it gives the bass line a pair of cowboy boots. It's not just dancing in a club, it's strutting away from a burning building in broad daylight.
It's the musical equivalent of flicking a cigarette over your shoulder while an explosion goes off behind you. So the music is literally strutting forward, propelled by a slingshot of silence, backed by a purely logical synth and a country disco bass line.
It sounds like the perfect recipe for a feel-good anthem.
It does. But this brings us to the core of our deep dive today. How the lyrics reflect genuine personal growth.
Right, because a true anthem of personal growth can't just be blind, toxic positivity.
Exactly. It can't just be, everything is awesome, I'm rich, let's dance. It has to acknowledge the wreckage it's walking away from. If you don't acknowledge the dark, the light doesn't mean anything.
And this brings us to the lyrical foundation of the song, which provides that necessary, gritty, grounded reality. This is where we see the departure from the typical breakup ballad trope.
Yeah, the opening lines of the track are brutally, uncomfortably honest. She sings, we were good, we were gold, kind of dream that can't be sold. We were right till we weren't, built a home and watched it burn.
Which is a remarkably really heavy, almost suffocating opening for a song that eventually turns into a dance track.
It references the literal physical destruction of Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth's Malibu home in the devastating 2018 Woolsey fire. They literally lost their house to a wildfire.
But obviously, she's using that historical fact as the metaphor for the end of their decade-long relationship. The relationship, like the house, was completely incinerated. What's crucial here, from a psychological and songwriting perspective, is that true personal growth requires profound emotional realism.
What do you mean by emotional realism?
Think about typical breakup ballads. They often fall into one of two extremes of denial. Either it's "you ruined my life and I'm nothing without you," or it's the defensive extreme. "I never really loved you anyway. You meant nothing to me. You were a mistake."
The Taylor Swift "we are never ever getting back together" vibe. The dismissive brushing off of the ex.
Exactly. Both extremes are a form of denial. But Cyrus does not fall into that trap. She objectively acknowledges that the relationship was once gold.
She says it was a dream that can't be sold. She honors the value of what she had.
And she doesn't just blame the fire. She owns her own reluctance to let it go. She sings, "I didn't want to leave you, I didn't want to lie, started to cry, but then remembered I," and then the chorus hits.
That is a staggering level of objectivity. She is admitting her own complicity, her own fear, her own reluctance to accept the end.
She acknowledges the pain entirely, avoiding the delusion of pretending the heartbreak didn't happen. And because she paints that dark reality so vividly in the first verse, it makes the subsequent joy in the chorus feel earned.
It's not manufactured pop joy, it's survival joy.
Exactly.
I agree with the emotional realism of the first verse. I really do. But I want to argue with you about something that happens later in the song.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
Because if we are talking about lyrical growth and maturity, there is a line in the chorus that trips me up. She hits us with, "Yeah, I can love me better than you can." Doesn't that sound, petty?
Petty.
Doesn't it sound a little bitter? If she's truly grown, if she's reached this Zen state of self-actualization and emotional regulation, why is she still comparing her self-love to his failures? Why is she taking jabs at the ex?
I see why you read it that way, and it's a very common critique. But if we connect this to the broader theories of songwriting and creativity mentioned in our sources, we can view this line through the lens of what psychologist Margaret Bowden calls H-creative.
H-creative, meaning historical creativity. Explain how that works.
Historical creativity refers to an idea that is fundamentally novel with respect to the whole of human history, or in a psychological sense, novel to a person's own history, changing the historical narrative to tell your song.
Okay, I'm following.
Yes, there is a slightly bitter edge to the line, "I can love me better than you can." But instead of wallowing in that bitterness, instead of writing a whole song about how poorly he loved her, she uses that friction as combustible fuel for her new narrative.
So the bitterness isn't the destination of the thought, it's the rocket fuel propelling her out of it.
It is an objective realization delivered as a mic drop. In a traditional breakup ballad, a line like, "I can love me better than you can," might be sung through tears as a desperate plea to convince herself it's true while she's crying on the floor.
Right, it would be an aspiration.
But here, propelled by that 118 BPM tempo, driven by the inescapable 4-on-the-floor beat and the super funk big bass, it is transformed from an aspiration into a statement of undeniable historical fact.
By acknowledging the pain and the friction, but refusing to let it paralyze her, the song becomes the ultimate fake it till you make it anthem.
She is literally singing her new reality into existence.
That delicate balance, acknowledging the very real, terrifying pain of the burning house, while actively, almost stubbornly, choosing to construct joy out of the ashes.
It's incredibly powerful.
It's exactly why this song is so psychologically effective for the listener. It's not just a catchy tune that gets stuck in your head. It's doing something mechanical to our brains when we listen to it.
It acts as a profound emotional regulator. In our stack of sources, Dr. David Sbarra, a clinical psychologist who studies relationships and health, offers a fascinating insight into this mechanism.
What does he say?
He points out that traditional, sad breakup songs usually provide what he calls a safe space to grieve.
Which makes sense. When you were sad, you want to listen to sad music.
Right. They allow us to match our chaotic internal sadness with organized external stimuli. The song provides a container for the grief. It is comforting because it validates the misery. It tells your brain, yes, things are terrible, and someone else feels it too.
Which is why we listen to Adele when we want to cry in the bathtub with a glass of wine. Adele provides the container.
Exactly. But Flowers operates on a completely different psychological axis. It doesn't just validate distress, it actively provides what psychologists call eustress.
Eustress. Okay, define that for me, because I usually associate the word stress entirely with panic attacks and tax deadlines.
That's distress. Eustress is positive, beneficial stress. It's the psychological counterpart to distress. Stress breaks you down, eustress builds you up.
Give me an example of eustress.
Eustress is what you feel when you are riding a roller coaster. It's the adrenaline you feel right before you step on stage to give a presentation you are incredibly well prepared for. It's the physical burn you feel during a really intense, satisfying workout.
Oh, okay. So it's a stressor that motivates, focuses energy, and ultimately feels rewarding.
Exactly. Flowers takes the listener from a state of distress, the morning of the burned house in the first verse, and actively, rhythmically pushes them into a state of eustress, a state of elevated, energized celebration.
It physically changes your state. And it's fascinating because there is a great, really nerdy discussion on Reddit in our sources where someone compares the philosophy of Flowers to the 1983 hit song by the progressive rock band Yes.
Oh, an absolute classic, but a very different approach to it.
Extremely different. The core argument of that Yes song is basically an exercise in cold logic. The lyrics argue that being lonely is objectively, statistically better than having a broken heart.
Right. Owner of a lonely heart is much better than the owner of a broken heart.
It's a very pragmatic, somewhat sterile comfort. It's like saying, well, my arm is broken, but at least my leg isn't. But Flowers seems to take that 1983 logic and evolve it into something much more powerful.
How does it evolve the premise?
It takes the concept of the lonely heart from the Yes song, and it marries it to Whitney Houston's ultimate philosophy in her anthem, Greatest Love of All.
Oh, learning to love yourself.
Exactly. The idea that learning to love yourself is the greatest, most important love you can achieve. Flowers takes the lonely heart, and instead of just saying, well, at least you aren't actively being hurt by someone, it says, no, being this lonely heart is actually an active, wildly joyful, abundant state of self-reliance.
You aren't just surviving a deficit, you are thriving in a surplus of your own making.
Yes.
That is a brilliant synthesis of pop music philosophies. And it leads to a fascinating speculation about what the song achieves on a purely neurological level.
Okay, hit me with the neurology.
Let's think about the literal action the song describes in the chorus. The physical act of buying flowers for oneself. For an adult, romantic betrayal activates highly complex, mature pain gates in the brain.
What do you mean by pain gates?
It deals with profound issues of trust, the division of shared resources, the collapse of future planning, social embarrassment.
It's heavy grown-up trauma.
Yeah.
It's dealing with lawyers and moving boxes and untangling a life.
Yes. It is cognitively exhausting. But the simple physical act of walking into a store and buying flowers for oneself completely bypasses those adult pain gates.
Because it's so simple.
Right. It taps into a very pure, almost childlike fascination with the world. Think about how a child interacts with nature. A child looks at a bright red flower and simply feels an immediate burst of sensory joy.
They don't attach the flower to societal expectations of romance.
Right.
They don't think about Valentine's Day guilt or whether the bouquet is expensive enough to serve as an apology.
It's just a beautiful thing that smells good.
Precisely. Cyrus is singing about using adult resources, her own independence, her own money, her own time, to satisfy a simple, fundamental human need for beauty and sensory pleasure, entirely independent of a romantic partner.
It acts as a neurological reset.
A reset, I like that.
It tells the listener's brain, despite the massive, complex adult trauma you are processing, you can still experience pure, unattached, uncomplicated joy right now. You don't have to solve the trauma to enjoy the flower.
I love that framing. It's like the song gives you permission to revert to a state of wonder, even when you're literally surrounded by the rubble of a collapsed relationship. You can just look at a pretty color and feel okay for a minute.
It's a very healing concept.
But here is the thing that really ties this all together for me, the element that makes this song undeniable. This incredibly mature, weathered, objective perspective on love and loss isn't just in the lyrics.
Right.
It isn't just in Kid Harpoon's 118 BPM beat or the Lodgeman synth. It is physically, biologically embedded in the very instrument delivering the song to our ears.
You are talking about the biology of Cyrus's voice itself.
Yes, we have to talk about the medical reality behind Miley Cyrus's highly distinctive vocal texture, because it has changed drastically over her career.
It really has.
According to the medical sources and interviews in our stack, Cyrus suffers from a specific vocal condition
a very significant diagnosis, especially for a professional vocalist whose entire career relies on their vocal cords. Let's explain what that is.
Please do.
The vocal cords have a layer called Ranke's space, which is filled with a gel-like substance that allows the vocal folds to vibrate smoothly. Ranke's edema involves the severe swelling of this space due to fluid buildup, which in her case resulted in the formation of a large physical polyp.
Ouch.
This structural anatomical alteration of her vocal cords is what gives her modern voice that signature, unmistakable rasp, that incredible gravelly depth, and much lower register compared to her early career.
And she's been incredibly open and transparent about it. She admits that her past lifestyle, the heavy touring, the partying, the smoking, the drinking, certainly exacerbated the situation.
She pushed her instrument to the breaking point.
She did. But she also noted in interviews that her voice always had a hint of this quality. It is a fundamental part of her unique anatomy. And what's fascinating here is how this biological reality, this physical damage, perfectly serves the thematic architecture of the song.
Absolutely. Think about the standard of pop music vocals over the last decade. We are so accustomed to pristine, auto-tuned, flawlessly smooth pop vocals.
Like zero imperfections allowed.
Right. If a singer with a crystalline, perfectly smooth, high soprano voice delivered the lyrics to Flowers, it simply wouldn't carry the same gravitational weight.
It would sound like a Disney Channel anthem.
Yeah.
It would sound like a teenager theorizing about heartbreak they haven't actually experienced yet.
It would lack consequence. It would lack a history. But Sasha's voice sounds weathered. It sounds deeply lived in.
It sounds like a voice that has quite literally survived a fire and inhaled the smoke.
Exactly. It is the exact tonal quality required for a song about enduring literal and metaphorical destruction and coming out the other side.
It reminds me of the Japanese art of kintsugi. Have you ever seen this?
Pottery repair.
Yeah. It's a restorative art form where they take broken pottery like a shattered tea bowl, and instead of gluing it back together with clear epoxy to hide the cracks, they repair it with a lacquer mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum.
The underlying philosophy being that the breakage and the subsequent repair are part of the history of the object rather than a flaw to disguise. The trauma makes it unique.
Exactly. The damage doesn't make it worthless. The damage and the visible golden repair are exactly what make the bowl strong, beautiful, and highly valuable.
It's a great metaphor.
Or think of it like a piece of reclaimed barn wood used for a dining table. You don't want to sand away the weather beating, the nail holes, and the saw marks. The weather beating is the entire point.
Right.
Cyrus's voice on this track is sonic kintsugi. The swelling, the polyp, the rasp, the medical damage. That damage is what makes her message of resilience fundamentally believable. You hear the survival in the friction of her vocal cords.
And this raises a vital point regarding the evolution of the song's arrangement, which we know from behind-the-scenes sources. There was an original acoustic demo of Flowers that Cyrus released months later.
Oh, I've heard that demo.
And that demo was exactly what we were talking about avoiding earlier. It was a slow, melancholic, stripped-down piano ballad.
Which is how the song was originally written. It started as the sad Bruno Mars song.
Yes. It began as the void. And if we consider that vocal texture, the heavy rasp, the Ranke's edema, if she had kept the song as a slow 73 BPM piano ballad, that weathered voice would have sounded like pure, unadulterated warmth.
Would have sounded like utter exhaustion, like a surrender.
It would have been the sound of someone sitting in the ashes of a burned-down house, too tired to stand up, just coughing on the smoke.
Wow, yeah.
But by taking that exact same weathered, damaged voice with all its history and grit and intentionally placing it over Kid Harpoon's 118 BPM disco funk beat, an incredible psychological alchemy occurs.
The alchemy of the tempo.
It transforms the rasp. It ceases to be a sound of exhaustion and becomes a sound of hard-won victory. It's the sound of a boxer who has taken a brutal beating for 10 rounds, who is bruised and bleeding, but is still standing in the dead center of the ring with their gloves up, daring the opponent to swing again.
I get chills just thinking about it.
The contrast, the friction between the biological damage in the vocal and the physical, undeniable exuberance of the beat is the ultimate engine that generates the song's power. It is the sound of someone who knows exactly how bad things can get and is choosing to dance anyway.
I think that is the perfect synthesis of why this song became the cultural juggernaut that it did. It operates on so many interconnected levels. We've taken a massive journey today to into the architecture of a pop masterpiece.
I really have.
We started by looking at how flowers hijacked the DNA of a regretful, static Bruno Mars ballad, engaging in the decades-old, legally contentious but artistically vital tradition of the answer song to reclaim a narrative.
And we examined the intricate sonic architecture, pulling back the curtain on how the producers used the slingshot effect of a silent downbeat to physically propel the listener forward.
We saw how this was supported by the logical, emotionless, lodge-bond synth that translated grief into action, and the country-infused superfunkman disco bass line that gave the track its signature forward-marching swagger.
We looked deeply at the grounded reality of the lyrics, which was our core mission today. We saw how she acknowledged the real-world trauma of the Woolsey fire and the agonizing end of a decade-long relationship without falling into the trap of delusion or denial.
She used a hint of bitterness, that age-creative pivot, as the rocket fuel to launch a fake it till you make it anthem of genuine personal growth.
We explored the underlying psychological impact, understanding how the track acts as an emotional regulator. It moves the listener from distress to eustress, entirely bypassing complex adult pain gate to tap into a childlike sensory joy through the simple act of buying oneself a flower.
And finally, we looked at how her medically weathered voice, shaped by Rinki's edema, acted as sonic kintsugi. It transformed what easily could have been a ballad of exhaustion into the ultimate, hard-won anthem of survival, quite a transformation. The core takeaway here, the philosophical blueprint we've been trying to uncover, is that true independence, true healing, doesn't mean pretending you were never hurt. It doesn't mean trying to erase your history or ignoring the rubble of the collapsed building.
It means standing right in the middle of the wreckage, feeling the weight of it, and making the active, conscious, defiant choice to buy the flowers anyway.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over as you go about your day. We spent an hour breaking down how simply changing the tempo and rhythm of a sad song, taking a narrative from 73 BPM to 118 BPM, can completely alter our neurological and emotional state, moving us from passive despair to active empowerment.
So I want you to think about your own life. How much of our own personal heartbreak, whether it's a failed relationship, a lost job, or a missed opportunity, is just a narrative we are currently playing at the wrong tempo?
Oh man, that is a heavy, beautiful question.
What happens if you take the saddest story you tell about yourself, the rubbles you've been mourning for years, and mentally try to set it to a 118 BPM? Does it change the ending? Does it change how you walk through the world today?
Stepping out of the void of the collapsed building and right onto the dance floor. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep listening, keep questioning the tempo of your own stories, and we'll catch you next time.